Greetings, my fellow free mode 7 thinkers. This is LL3's News Podcast. My name is Craig, transmitting from the beautiful swampy mangroves of South Florida. And today's date, Monday, May 15th, 2017. It's getting warm out there. Over the time of the season. And I'm podcasting at CJ's Java Lounge, located at 400 Southwest 1st Avenue along the New River of Fort Lauderdale. And it's on the southwest section of the Andrews Avenue Bridge. Yeah, just a little bit tired. Worked a lot of heavy steel. But that's okay. It's part of my job, man. Stagehand. Went to see the Dam last night. I gotta say, it was very entertaining. Wasn't disappointed. And it was a good vibe. Some old faces I haven't seen in years. And the band's supporting acts, Starry Night, I believe they're called. They're from South Florida. Got a good, vintage sound, new wave / gothic beat to them. Not that extraordinary in the gothic end, but they were entertaining. They got to sign a record deal. Met their bassist named Munch. He remembered me years ago. He thanked me for coming out to check out his band. Walked up to me at the poorhouse. Had a good little conversation. And he recalled me when he saw me at the Thrash Can. That was on Alton Road, I would say 1989 and 90. Wow, man. Talk about blast from the past. But I congratulate them on getting signed. And check them out, Starry Night. I'll try to find them on Facebook. If so, I will post this on my footnotes. And the Bell Rays were good. Rockin' band. I could say they're... Someone said she's like Tina Turner, the vocals of Tina Turner influence, but I noticed they had that Mother's Finest in them as well, which they're a very entertaining rock band from Atlanta, Georgia. Weren't really that popular in the States, but they were very successful in Europe in their days. During the day, and check those. Check them out, man. If you like it, having fun, go see it, listen to them. Well, yeah, I was gonna say it was a good atmosphere last night. I'd thank everyone for coming out. And Jarrett from Rockburger gave me a ticket. And my little friends at Revolution for always treating me with dignity and courtesy. Part of the whole in the biz scene. Yeah, so what the heck I'm going to be saying here? And I'm a little bit mind blank, so forgive me there, friends. Well, you know what? I said, what the hell? Just going to do a few articles, keep it decent. I want to let it bone drag. Yeah, this came about yesterday from a News Target. And it says here, government's now working on a secret plan to ban all encryption tech used by citizens. You might become a crypto criminal. And it's by Jason Velli. Let's just read what it says here. Many people might not know this, but every time you send or receive a message using iMessage or Facebook Messenger, that message is encrypted. To best understand how encryption works, a picture, a mailbox that has 2 keys, or that allows you to check incoming mail, and another that allows you to send mail out to family or friends. No matter how many copies of each key are made, they will never be interchangeable. In other words, a key for coming mail can never be used to sending outgoing mail and vice versa. In simple terms, encryption is essentially a privacy tool used by applications like iMessage, Facebook, Messenger, and WhatsApp to ensure that your conversations remain protected from hackers and cyber criminals. Sadly, the UK government may soon be moving forward with legislation that would effectively ban such encryption by forcing tech companies to build backdoors into their products. This would be like taking that same mailbox mentioned in the example above and creating a small secret keyhole in the back of it, with the corresponding key belonging to the federal government. The key would have to access the entire mailbox, unlike the other two keys that only control incoming or outgoing mail. The information was revealed in a leaked document obtained by Rights Group. One rather extreme proposal included in the document states to provide and maintain the capability to carry out the interception of communications or the obtaining of secondary data, and disclose anything obtained under the warrant to the person to whom the warrant was addressed or any person acting on that person's behalf within one working day or such longer period as may be specified in the technical capability notice. The telecommunication operator being informed that warrant has been issued. Another proposal in the document says to provide and maintain the capability to disclose where practicable in the content of communications or secondary data in intelligible form. If these proposals are approved and implemented, technology firms would essentially be forced to include the backdoor access in their products, thereby allowing governmental agencies to bypass the encryption and gain access to the entire device. In effect, the UK government is considering a total ban on encryption. This is related to Natural News Exclusive. U.S. government developing ultimate cyber weapon. Primary factoring quantum computing make encryptions obsolete. So this article came out a few years ago. Yeah, it came out August 20th, 2012. So you can see that for yourselves. Of course, though, always in the big brother wants to go out and try to tell us how to just look at everything what we do. And it's funny, I'm like watching some CNN, there's a lot of professors go, oh yeah, well, the president must be impeached. Yeah, but the other people don't get, his predecessors is okay, right? So you know what? Shut up, man. I'm just tired of these ass wipes. There's a lot of stuff that's going on. CNN, go figure. Counterfeit News Network. Pathetic. All right, I'll continue on here. The Independent reports that proposal is currently being debated and discussed among members of the UK's Technical Advisory Board, which includes Sky B, BT, Cable and Wireless O2, Virgin Media, and Vodafone. Representatives from government agencies are also believed to be involved in the debate, including GCHQ and MI5. Was that ring a bell? The Technical Advisory Board meeting will officially end on May 19th. Jocelyn Pauly, director at the international law firm Gowling WLG, brought up an issue that Americans have been debating since the year our country was founded. She said, balancing protection of fundamental human rights such as privacy and the public interest in national security will always be a highly contentious area. If nothing else, the encryption ban that is being considered in the United Kingdom is proof that the debate over privacy and national security is one that is not unique to the United States. It is a universal conversation between the people of the world who don't want to see their privacy rights slip away and the governing bodies of the world who have an insatiable appetite for power and authority. Yes, big brother. Ben Franklin once stated those who sacrifice individual liberty for security deserve neither. This is absolutely true, and it may be even more relevant today than it has ever been. Liberty is a precious thing that once gone, it's extremely difficult to get back. This is why it's up to the people, whether they reside in the United Kingdom or the United States, to fight for it with everything they got. And it's absolutely correct. That's why you see all these other encryption sites. It's always good to drive these peeping toms crazy. And it's a real shame when they tried to do this in the UK and so forth. Because you know why? Because they said, got to do it to fight terrorism. That's the sales pitch. And cyber warfare, malware, and all that. And I recall Dan Dix did one the cyber war. He said it was inside job, if I'm correct, right? From Press for Truth. I'm gonna add that to the memo for sure. And Press for Truth is Dan Dix does a real good job. I gotta say, I could give him a lot of credit. Individuals like him are just like really trying to really put the word out they can. However, it's always good to see these things and take a stance on it. So, let me just, right? Yeah, I guess it came out last week, if I'm correct. Yeah, I'm going to check it out right here. Sorry about that. I know I'm like, lingering. Bum, bum, bum. Oh, here it is. Yeah, it came out 2 days ago. I'll definitely add that to the memo so you folks can watch. So that's just the name of the game, my friends. You got to fight for it. I know a lot of groups out there, Electronic Frontier Foundation, and many others are saying no, this is essential. This is the whole thing. Like I said before, they're going to use it as the quote-unquote war on terror, which is completely unacceptable. All right, next one here. Let's come up with a little quote, couple commentaries. And it's from michaelmaharry.com, and it's entitled France, Who Cares? So last weekend, France elected a new president, centrist Emmanuel Macron, handily beat Marine Le Pen. Hold on here. One moment. And describes alternatively as a right-wing candidate, a nationalist, a fascist, and a racist. A lot of Americans were intensely interested in the election, with progressive generally lining up behind Macron and the right, and particularly so-called alt-right, backing Le Pen. Once the results came in, I actually saw some social media gloating by progressives and downright despair from some folks sympathetic to the alt-right. And I am over here saying, who cares? It's France, for heaven's sakes. For heaven's sake. Heck, I don't even really care about what's going on in Washington, D.C., much less Paris. This election has virtually zero effect on anybody here in America. And yet a large number of people were apparently emotionally invested in his French vote. I confess I'm not really well versed in French politics because, well, it's France. But from what I understand, Le Pen wasn't really any kind of hardcore right-winger. I mean, she's a nationalist, anti-EU, and apparently wants to close the borders. But from what I've heard, she's fine with the welfare state. She's pro-choice. She supports same-sex marriage. This apparently passes for far right in France. So basically, one French socialist beats another in an election. Now I'm supposed to care why? It seems that more and more Americans are obsessed with distant things that they have no control over, things that will ultimately have very little, if any, impact on their lives. I blame the prevalence of social media and 24-hour news cycles for this phenomenon. 20 or 30 years ago, most people would have scarcely noticed the French election. It would have been a 30-second story on the evening news. Now we have information about distance going on beamed into our news feed 24/7. Some ways it's a good thing. We are more aware of what's going on in the world. On the other hand, it made people obsessed with things they can't control, and it really don't matter. One of my life philosophies goes on: control what you can control and don't worry about the rest. I can't control the French elections. I can't even control Washington, D.C., which is why I say only half jokingly. Never call the 212-202 area code, but we actually can have an impact on state politics and what happens in our local communities. So why not focus there instead of worrying about France? It's just like my friend Byron McCallum said at the time: think local, act local. Speaking of Brian, he's on the top-notch professor that teaches Liberty Classroom. It's a fantastic site where you can learn the history, philosophy, and economics you didn't learn in school. If you sign up through my link, I give you a free copy of my book, Our Last Hope: Rediscovering the Lost Path of Liberty. Check it out here. If you join, email me and let me know. I'll send you a free book. That's pretty nice of him. So I'm about to check that out. And of course, you gotta look at that. The whole thing is about social media and so forth. You're always gonna have people want to blast garbage and taste baseless input and try to manifest it to make a big thing. On the other hand, you can utilize it to enhance humanity, get people to actually think. So I can't blame Harry on that. Yeah, I kept tabs on the whole thing in France, but I didn't go lovey-dovey or bonkers. I know I do realize that Macron is a bankster's stooge, or Rothschild stooge, and we don't know much about Le Pen. But of course, the people are a little bit more dramatic than accurate. That's why I get a big kick out of these people. It's like sometimes I just like scratch my head and go, "What on earth are you thinking?" And on the other hand, we always get so many folks out there that assume we have to see things more in their eyes. But I would recommend just read the French Constitution. Look up the French Constitution and just take it from there. I read it. I wasn't impressed. Okay, so let the French people decide. They gotta put the government's feet to the fire. All right. Well, here another commentary by Ron Paul came out today. It says here, President Trump tossed your general's war escalation plans in the trash. This is what the former congressman has to say. By the end of this month, Defense Secretary James Mattis and National Security Advisor H.R. McMaster will deliver to President Trump their plans for military escalations in Afghanistan, Iraq, and Syria. President Trump would be wise to rip the plans up and send his national security team back to the drawing board or replace them. There is no way another surge in Afghanistan and Iraq, plus a new one in Syria, puts America first. There is no way doing the same thing over again will succeed any better than it did the last time. Near the 10th anniversary of the war on Afghanistan 7 years ago, I went to the floor of Congress to point out that the war makes no sense. The original authorization had little to do with eliminating the Taliban. It was a resolution to retaliate against those who attacked the United States on September 11, 2001. From what we know now, the government of Saudi Arabia had far more to do with the financing and plan of 9/11 than did the Taliban. But we're still pumping money into that lost cause. We're still killing Afghanis, and in doing so, creating a new generation of terrorists. Remember the terminology: blowback. A war against ISIS will not end with its defeat in Mosul and Raqqa. We will not pack up and go home. Instead, the Pentagon and the State Department have both said that U.S. troops will remain in Iraq after ISIS is defeated. The continued presence of U.S. troops in Iraq will provide all the recruiting needed for more ISIS or ISIS-like resistance groups to arise, which will in turn lead to a permanent U.S. occupation of Iraq. The U.S. experts have completely misdiagnosed the problem, so it's no surprise that their solutions will not work. They claim that Al-Qaeda and ISIS arose in Iraq because we left. And actually, they arose, we invaded in the first place. General David Petraeus said to have a lot of influence over H.R. McMaster, and in Syria, he is pushing for the kind of U.S. troop surge that he still believes was successful in Iraq. The two are said to favor thousands of U.S. troops to fight ISIS in eastern Syria instead of relying on the U.S.-sponsored Kurdish-led Syrian Democratic Forces to do the job. This surge into Syria would also lead to a lengthy U.S. occupation of a large part of that country, as it is unlikely that the U.S. would return the territory to the Syrian government. Would it remain an outpost of armed rebels that could be unleashed on Assad at the U.S. president's will? It's hard to know from week to week whether a regime change in Syria is a U.S. priority or not, but we do know that a long-term U.S. occupation of half of Syria would be illegal, dangerous, and enormously expensive. President Trump's generals all seem to be pushing for a major U.S. military escalation in the Middle East and South Asia. The president goes back and forth, 1 minute saying we're not going into Syria, while the next seeming to favor another surge. He has given the military much decision-making latitude and may be persuaded by his generals that the only solution is to go in big. If he follows such advice, it is likely his presidency itself will be buried in that graveyard of empires. Yeah, man. I have to agree with him on that completely. The status quo continues. Why is that? Because everyone believes they're smarter than everyone else. You got these individuals with their high declarations, with some imperial fetish, and believe instead of having a constitutional war, let's do it illegally. So, President Trump, stand down on this subject. Mr. President, with all due respect, I am not a worshiper of you by any means. I never really even cared about your TV show, The Apprentice. But I can tell you this, if you stand down on this proposal, I will endorse it. If not, I will call you out like every other predecessors, include that you the same treatment as Barack Obama and George W. Bush. So, eject it, toss these warmongering parasites out of your cabinet because they are contaminating space. They sell their behinds to the military-industrial complex and the banksters. And that's it. Plain and simple. All right, folks, I can thank everyone for listening. Yeah, under half hour. Plus, feel free to download and share throughout your social media networks. If you have any questions, comments, or you want to send me something that's interesting you may want to check out, whatever you do, please send your correspondences with decorum. You can hit me on Facebook, Twitter, Google+, Spreaker, iHeartRadio, Tumblr, YouTube, Freedoms Network, Scene.life, Minds.com, Future.net, or Patreon.com. I do have a Patreon account. And / Loki Luck 3 Eyes all together, which is Loki Luck 3rd. In addition, you can email me at LokiLuck3, the number 3, all together, at gmail.com, or to your cryptic ones, LokiLuck03 at protonmail.com. All right, my friends, once again, thank you for your time. Plus, always remember that the demoniac resistance is healthy for the soul and can liberate humanity. Until next time, take care of yourselves, keep on spreading love, and may your guardian spirits be with you.